The sun was just beginning to dip behind the hills, painting the wide-open sky with streaks of pink and orange. The little farmhouse stood quietly at the edge of the field, its wooden walls glowing softly in the evening light. Inside, Emily sat at the small kitchen table, her hands wrapped around a warm cup of cocoa. She watched her father move around the room, his boots making soft thuds on the wooden floor. There was a rhythm to his movements, a familiar pattern that she had watched for as long as she could remember. Her father, a tall man with a weathered face and gentle eyes, moved with calm confidence. Every evening, just as the sun started to fade, he would follow the same routine. Emily had grown up observing him, noticing the little details, the way he hung his hat on the hook by the door, the way he carefully wiped down the counters, the way he hummed softly while checking on the animals outside. To Emily, these small actions were comforting, almost magical. They spoke of a life built on care, hard work, and love. Tonight was no different. Her father had finished tending to the horses, brushing down their coats, and feeding them their evening grain. He returned to the kitchen with a tired but satisfied smile, his shirt streaked with dust and sweat. Emily could see the traces of his long day etched into the lines of his face. Yet, despite the weariness, there was a light in his eyes that always seemed to shine brightest when he was at home with his family. Emily leaned forward, resting her chin in her hands. "Dad," she said softly, "do you ever get tired of doing the same things every night?" Her father chuckled, a deep, warm sound that seemed to fill the entire kitchen. He put down the lantern he had been carrying and leaned against the counter. "Well, Em," he said, "I suppose sometimes it feels that way. But then, I remember why I do it. It's not just about the chores, or the animals, or even keeping the house in order. It's about making sure everything is right for you and your mother. That's what keeps me going." Emily smiled, feeling a swell of warmth in her chest. She had always admired her father, not just for his strength and skill, but for the way he cared about the little things that often went unnoticed. He had a way of making every action meaningful, of turning the mundane into something special. Whether it was fixing a broken fence, repairing a tool, or preparing dinner, he did it with care, and that care was felt in every corner of their home. After a moment, her father picked up a small notebook from the counter. It was worn at the edges, its pages filled with scribbles and notes he had made over the years about the farm, the weather, and even little reminders for himself. He flipped through the pages slowly, as if each one held a memory. "You know," he said, "sometimes I write down the little things I notice during the day. Nothing important, really. Just things I don't want to forget." "Just?" Emily's curiosity sparked. "Like what?" He smiled softly, remembering something from earlier that day. "Like how the sun hit the east pasture just right this morning, making the grass look like it was covered in gold. Or how the foal tried to follow me around, but kept stumbling over its own legs. Little moments like that, they make the hard work worth it." Emily giggled, imagining the tiny foal wobbling on the soft earth. She loved these stories, loved hearing her father's perspective on the world. There was a gentle poetry in the way he observed life, a way of noticing beauty in the ordinary that made her feel safe and cherished. As the evening grew darker, her father set the notebook aside and began preparing their simple dinner. The smell of stew simmering in the pot filled the kitchen, mixing with the earthy scent of the fields outside. Emily helped by setting the table, placing the wooden plates and metal cups in their usual spots. They moved together in silence for a while, the kind of silence that wasn't empty but full of understanding. After dinner, her father led Emily outside to check on the animals one last time before bed. The night was calm, the stars beginning to sparkle in the vast sky above. The barn was quiet, the horses nuzzling each other gently, and the chickens had settled in for the night. Her father patted each animal softly, speaking to them in his low, soothing voice. Emily watched him, noticing how even the animals seemed to respond to his presence, calm and content under his care. Once they finished, They returned to the porch, where her father lit a small lantern. Emily wrapped a blanket around her shoulders and sat beside him, watching the stars appear one by one. "Dad," she whispered, "why do you always do these things? Every night. You're always so patient." He looked at her, his eyes reflecting the soft lantern light. "Because, Emily, these small routines, they're a way of showing love. It's not always about saying it out loud. Sometimes, actions speak louder than words. Doing the same things night after night might seem ordinary, but it's how I make sure the people I care about feel safe and valued. That's what matters." Emily leaned against him, feeling the warmth of his arm around her shoulders. For a moment, the world felt perfectly still, the soft sounds of the night surrounding them like a gentle lullaby. She realized that it wasn't just the chores or the routines that mattered, it was the presence behind them, the care, the attention, and the love her father put into every little thing he did. As the night deepened, they returned inside. Her father tucked her into bed, adjusting the quilt and tucking a stray strand of hair behind her ear. "Good night, Em," he said softly. "Remember, it's the small things we do every day that make life meaningful." "Good night, Dad," Emily whispered back, her eyelids heavy with sleep. He smiled, brushing his hand gently over her head. As Emily drifted off to sleep, she thought about how lucky she was to have a father who cared so deeply. She realized that the world outside could be chaotic and uncertain, but inside their little home, there was a rhythm, a routine, and a love that was steady and unchanging. And that thought filled her dreams with warmth and comfort, carrying her through the night. Outside, the wind rustled through the fields, whispering softly over the tall grass. The stars shone brightly in the clear night sky, and the farmhouse stood quietly, holding within it the stories of everyday life, stories of care, devotion, and the quiet heroism of a father who never stopped showing love, one night at a time. The next morning arrived with a soft, golden light spilling across the fields. Emily woke up early, as she always did, and peeked out of her window. The dew glistened on the grass, and the chickens were already pecking at the ground in the yard. She could hear the soft neighing of the horses, calling to one another as if greeting the new day. For a moment, she felt completely at peace, wrapped in the quiet rhythm of life on the farm. Her father was already outside, working near the barn. He moved with the same calm confidence as the night before, tying a new hay bale for the horses and checking the fences along the edge of the pasture. Emily watched him for a while, noticing the careful way he inspected each post, ensuring that everything was in place. Even in the early morning light, his presence had a steadying effect on her. She couldn't explain it exactly, but seeing him work made her feel safe and grounded. Like no matter what happened in the day, there was a strong foundation she could always rely on. Emily quickly got dressed, tying her hair back with a simple ribbon. She grabbed her small basket and went outside to help her father with the morning chores. "Good morning, Dad," she called, her voice bright with energy. "Morning, Emily," he replied, smiling warmly. "Ready to help the horses?" She nodded eagerly. Together, they walked to the barn. The smell of hay and fresh earth filled the air, a scent that had become comforting to Emily over the years. Her father handed her a brush and showed her how to groom the horses carefully, brushing in long, gentle strokes. Emily laughed when the foal nuzzled her shoulder, curious about the new human friend who was taking care of him. Her father chuckled at her laughter, the sound blending naturally with the quiet hum of the farm. Once the horses were fed and the barn was tidied, Emily and her father moved on to check the vegetable garden. The garden was small but thriving, with rows of carrots, tomatoes, and lettuce swaying slightly in the morning breeze. Her father pointed out a few weeds that had sprouted overnight and showed Emily how to pull them carefully without disturbing the young plants. She followed his instructions diligently, learning the patience and attention needed to care for something so small, yet so vital. "You know, Emily," her father said as he worked beside her, Gardening is a lot like life. You have to nurture things, give them attention, and sometimes wait a long time before you see the results. But when they finally grow and thrive, it's worth all the effort. Emily thought about that for a moment, nodding. I think I understand, Dad, she said softly. It's like how you always take care of us and the farm. You keep working, even when it's hard, and everything turns out okay in the end. Ah. Her father paused, looking at her with pride shining in his eyes. Exactly. Emily. That's exactly it. After the garden, they moved on to feed the chickens and collect eggs. Emily loved this part of the morning. She would gently lift the hens from the coop and carefully place them back after collecting their eggs. Her father showed her how to check each egg for cracks and how to carry them without dropping them. Emily felt a sense of accomplishment as she held the smooth, warm eggs in her hands, realizing that these small tasks were part of keeping their home running smoothly. By mid-morning, the sun was higher in the sky, warming the farm and casting long shadows across the fields. Emily and her father took a short break, sitting under the old oak tree near the edge of the pasture. They shared a simple snack of bread and cheese, enjoying the quiet sounds of the farm around them. Birds chirped in the trees, and the horses grazed lazily nearby. Dad, Emily asked between bites, do you ever get lonely out here? I mean, it's just us most of the time. Her father smiled thoughtfully. Sometimes it's quiet, yes, but I've never felt lonely because I have you and your mother, and all of these animals too. Life out here may be simple, but it's full of little joys. There's beauty in this quiet, and I think it teaches us to appreciate the world in ways we might not in a busy city. Emily nodded, looking out over the fields. She had never been to a city, but she could imagine that life there might be noisy and rushed. Here, every sound and every sight seemed to have meaning. The way the wind rustled the grass, the way the sunlight danced through the leaves, even the small sounds of the animals, everything felt alive and full of purpose. After their break, her father decided it was time to repair a section of the fence that had been damaged by the recent windstorm. Emily watched as he carefully measured the wooden posts. Hammering nails with precision, he handed her small tools and showed her how to hold them safely. She felt important, being trusted to help with real work, and she listened intently to every instruction. As they worked side by side, Emily realized something else. Her father's dedication wasn't just about the farm. It was about teaching her how to face challenges, how to be patient, and how to do things right. She could see the lessons hidden in every action he took, and it made her respect him even more. By afternoon, the fence was sturdy and secure, and the barn was tidied once again. Emily felt a deep satisfaction in her heart, knowing that she had contributed to the day's work. Her father clapped her on the shoulder, smiling proudly. Well done, Emily. You're learning fast, and I couldn't be prouder. Emily beamed, her cheeks flushed from the sun and exertion. Thanks, Dad. I like learning from you. Everything seems easier when you show me. Her father chuckled. I'm glad, Em. But remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about trying your best and learning along the way. That's what really matters. As the day drew to a close, Emily helped her father gather firewood for the evening. They stacked the logs neatly by the fireplace, the smell of pine filling the air. The sky was painted with shades of pink and purple, signaling that another peaceful night was approaching. That evening, they sat together in the living room, sipping warm tea and sharing stories. Her father talked about his own childhood, growing up on a small farm not far from theirs. He told Emily about the lessons he had learned from his parents, about the value of hard work, honesty, and kindness. Emily listened intently, fascinated by the stories. She felt a connection not just to her father but to the generations before her, realizing that their way of life was built on love, care, and resilience. Before bedtime, Emily helped her father check on the animals one last time. The horses were resting quietly in their stalls, the chickens settled in the coop, and the barn was calm. Emily could see the fatigue in her father's posture, yet there was still a gentle energy in the way he moved. He had spent the entire day caring for the farm and his family, yet he never seemed rushed or impatient. As they walked back to the house, Emily felt a deep sense of gratitude. She knew that her father's dedication wasn't about recognition or reward, it was about love, responsibility, and creating a safe, happy home. She realized that these daily routines, which might seem ordinary to an outsider, were in fact extraordinary expressions of care and devotion. That night, as Emily lay in bed, she thought about all the things she had learned that day. She thought about patience, hard work, kindness, and the quiet strength her father showed in every action. She felt inspired to follow his example, to approach her own life with the same dedication and love. And as she drifted off to sleep, the sounds of the farm outside her window, soft rustling leaves, distant neighing, and the whisper of the wind carried her into dreams full of hope, warmth, and the promise of another beautiful day. The next morning began with a cool breeze drifting across the fields. Emily woke up to the sound of distant crowing from the roosters and the soft whinnies of the horses. She stretched and looked out her window at the sprawling farm bathed in soft sunlight. Today felt different. There was a quiet tension in the air, though she couldn't quite name it. Her father was already up, walking briskly toward the barn. Emily quickly dressed and followed him outside. "Good morning, Dad," she called. He turned, giving her a small, tired smile. "Morning, Emily. I think we might have a little extra work today. One of the fences along the north field got damaged last night in the windstorm." Emily frowned, thinking of the task ahead. Her father put a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "We'll fix it together. Just like yesterday. Nothing we can't handle." They walked toward the north field, and Emily immediately saw the problem. One section of the wooden fence was splintered, leaning dangerously toward the ground. Beyond it, the horses were safely grazing. But she knew it was only a matter of time before the wind or another animal could worsen the damage. Her father knelt beside the broken section and examined the wood carefully. "Looks like we'll need to replace a few posts and reinforce the rails," he explained. "It's not too bad, but we'll have to work carefully." Emily nodded, rolling up her sleeves. "I can help, Dad. Just tell me what to do." They gathered the necessary tools and materials: new wooden posts, nails, a hammer, and rope to hold the posts steady while they worked. Emily's father showed her how to hold the post upright and secure it while he hammered the first nails in. She tried it herself and, with a little guidance, managed to keep the post steady as her father drove the nails in. "You're doing great, Emily," he said, smiling. "You're strong, and your hands are steady. Keep it up." Amen. Emily felt a sense of pride as they continued working. They took turns lifting, hammering, and securing the posts. Their movements coordinated through practice and familiarity. But as the morning wore on, the wind began to pick up again, tugging at the boards and rattling the tools. Emily's father paused to steady a post that threatened to topple. "This wind is tricky," he said. "We need to be careful, or we could hurt ourselves or make things worse." Emily nodded, her determination shining through. "We can do this, Dad. We've fixed fences before." Hours passed as they worked tirelessly, sweat and dirt covering their clothes. The sun climbed higher in the sky, warming their backs and making the air heavy with the scent of earth and wood. Emily's arms ached from holding the hammer and lifting the posts, but she refused to stop. She wanted to help her father, to show that she could handle the responsibility of life on the farm. Finally, after what felt like endless effort, the last post was secure, and the rails were tightly fastened. Emily stepped back to admire their work, her chest swelling with satisfaction. "We did it, Dad," she exclaimed, her face bright with joy. Her father nodded, brushing a strand of hair from his face. Yes, we did. I'm proud of you, Emily. You worked hard and stayed focused, even when it got difficult. That's something very special. They took a break under the shade of a nearby tree, drinking water and wiping sweat from their foreheads. Emily sat quietly for a moment, feeling a mixture of exhaustion and accomplishment. She looked at her father and realized just how much strength and patience he carried, not just in his body, but in his heart. He was always ready to face challenges head-on, yet he remained calm, kind, and encouraging. After their break, her father suggested they check on the rest of the property. Emily followed him, noticing small signs of the storm's impact: fallen branches, scattered hay, and a few broken garden plants. Her father calmly assessed each problem, making mental notes about what needed to be fixed or replaced. Emily watched closely, learning how to prioritize work and approach problems systematically. By mid-afternoon, they returned to the farmhouse for lunch. Emily helped set the table, placing the plates and cups in their usual spots. The kitchen smelled of fresh bread and stew, a comforting reminder that no matter how tiring the day was, home always offered warmth and care. While they ate, her father talked about his own experiences with storms and challenges on the farm. He told Emily stories of times when fences were torn down, crops were damaged, or animals went missing. Each story carried a lesson: patience, problem-solving, perseverance, and the importance of staying calm in difficult situations. Emily listened intently, absorbing the wisdom hidden in his words. "Dad," Emily asked between bites, "how do you stay so calm when things go wrong? I get nervous just thinking about it." Her father smiled gently. "It's not always easy, Emily. But I remind myself that worrying won't fix anything. The only thing that helps is taking one step at a time. You face the problem, do what you can, and learn from it. That's how you grow stronger." Emily nodded thoughtfully. She realized that this was more than just a lesson about farm work. It was a lesson about life. Challenges would always come, storms would always arrive. But with patience, determination, and love, they could be overcome. After lunch, they spent some time repairing the garden, replacing the broken plants, and reinforcing the beds. Emily worked alongside her father, laughing as the soil stuck to her hands and dirt dusted her clothes. She felt proud not just of the physical work but of the sense of teamwork and connection she shared with her father. Every task they completed together strengthened their bond, reminding her that family wasn't just about living under the same roof, it was about helping and supporting each other through life's challenges. As the sun began to lower in the sky, Emily's father suggested they take a break and enjoy a short walk to the creek behind the farmhouse. The path was lined with wildflowers, and the gentle babbling of the creek offered a soothing contrast to the day's hard work. They walked slowly, side by side, observing the beauty of their surroundings. Emily bent down to pick a small bouquet of wildflowers, holding them carefully in her hands. "Look, Dad. Aren't these pretty?" Are. Her father smiled, taking the flowers from her gently. "They are beautiful, Emily. Just like you, always noticing the small things that make life special." They sat on a large rock by the creek, dipping their feet in the cool water. Emily watched as the ripples formed patterns across the surface, reflecting the sunlight like tiny diamonds. Her father skipped a stone across the creek, showing her how to make it bounce more than once before sinking. Emily tried it herself, giggling when her first attempts barely made it past the water's edge. "You're getting better, Emily," her father encouraged. "It takes practice, patience, and a little focus, just like everything else we do." As the day faded into evening, they walked back to the farmhouse, tired but content. Emily's arms were sore, her clothes smudged with dirt, yet she felt happier than she had all week. There was something deeply satisfying about working hard, facing challenges, and knowing that they had accomplished something together. That night, After finishing the evening chores, they sat on the porch with mugs of warm tea. Emily leaned against her father, listening to him hum softly as he watched the stars appear in the darkening sky. The quiet sounds of the farm surrounded them, soft wind through the trees, distant hooves on the path, and the occasional call of a night bird. "Dad," Emily whispered, "today was hard, but I liked it. I liked working with you." Her father smiled, wrapping an arm around her shoulders. "I liked it too, Emily, and you did wonderfully. Remember, it's not always the easy days that teach us the most. Sometimes the hard days give us the lessons we need, and the memories we'll never forget." Emily felt a sense of peace wash over her. She realized that life on the farm was more than just chores and routines. It was about love, patience, and the quiet strength of family. Every challenge they faced together, every task they completed, and every moment of laughter or learning brought them closer. And she knew that no matter what storms came, both in the weather and in life, they would face them together, supporting and caring for one another. As Emily finally crawled into bed, she thought about the day's events. She felt proud, inspired, and grateful. The farm, her father, and the lessons she learned today were shaping her into someone who could face challenges with courage and patience. And as she drifted off to sleep, the comforting rhythm of the farm, the soft rustle of leaves, the gentle breeze, and the distant calls of the animals sang her into a peaceful dream, preparing her for another day of life, work, and love. The next morning, Emily woke to a soft golden light spilling through her window. The farm seemed unusually quiet, almost as if the world itself was holding its breath. She stretched and looked outside. The fields sparkled with dew, and the horses nickered softly in their stalls. She could hear her father moving around in the kitchen, the familiar sound of his boots on the wooden floor echoing through the house. Emily quickly got dressed, eager to start the day. She went outside, and there was her father, already tending to the chickens. He noticed her and smiled. "Good morning, Emily. Did you sleep well?" "Yes, Dad," she replied. "It feels like today is going to be special." Her father chuckled softly. "Maybe it is, or maybe it's just another day on the farm. Either way, we'll make it good." They began their morning routine as usual, feeding the animals and checking the fences. But today, Emily noticed something different. She felt a deeper connection to the farm, to the animals, and to her father. The lessons of patience, responsibility, and care that he had been teaching her were starting to sink in. She could see the beauty in the ordinary, the extraordinary in the everyday routines they shared. After breakfast, her father suggested a new project. "Emily," he said, "how about we build a small tree house near the old oak tree? It could be a place for you to read, write, or just enjoy nature." Emily's eyes lit up. "Really?" Her father nodded. "We'll take our time and do it right. Building something together is another way we learn and grow. Are you ready?" Emily jumped at the chance. They gathered the wood, nails, and tools, carrying everything carefully to the base of the oak tree. Her father showed her how to measure the wood and plan the structure. Emily listened closely, realizing that building a treehouse wasn't just about hammering boards together. It was about thinking, planning, and working carefully. As they worked, they talked about everything: school, dreams, stories from when her father was her age. Emily discovered a side of her father she had never seen before. Playful, imaginative, and full of funny memories. She laughed often, enjoying the lightness in their conversation. By midday, the basic frame of the treehouse was in place. Emily helped hold boards steady while her father nailed them in place. She climbed the low steps carefully, feeling proud as she reached the small platform. From there, she could see the entire farm spread out before her. The fields, the barn, the creek, and even the hills in the distance. It felt like a tiny kingdom, one they had built together. As they worked, a gentle breeze stirred the leaves, and the sun warmed their backs. Emily realized that this moment, this shared project, was more than just building a treehouse. It was about building memories, trust, and a bond that would last a lifetime. When the treehouse was finally complete, they stepped back to admire their work. It was simple, but sturdy, crafted with care and love. Emily climbed inside, sitting on the wooden platform, and looked out at the world. Her father smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. "No. Thank you, Emily. Today, I learned just as much from you as you learned from me. You've grown so much, and I'm proud of you." As the afternoon faded into evening, Emily and her father returned to the farmhouse. They fed the animals one last time and tidied up the tools. The sky was painted with warm shades of orange and pink, reflecting off the calm fields. Emily felt a deep sense of contentment. The farm, her father, and the small joys of life around her made her feel connected and grounded in a way she had never felt before. After dinner, they sat on the porch, sipping warm tea. Emily leaned against her father, watching the stars appear one by one in the clear night sky. "Dad," she whispered, "I think I understand now. It's not just about doing chores or fixing fences. It's about caring, learning, and being together." Her father looked at her with pride and love shining in his eyes. "Exactly, Emily. Life isn't always easy, but the small actions we take, the care we give, and the time we spend with the people we love, that's what makes it meaningful." Emily thought about everything they had done over the past few days. Tending the animals, repairing fences, gardening, and building the treehouse. Each activity, each moment of effort and patience had taught her something important about responsibility, perseverance, and the quiet joys of life. She realized that her father's love wasn't just in his words but in every action, every small gesture, and every routine he followed. As night deepened, they went inside, and Emily prepared for bed. Her father tucked her in, adjusting the quilt and brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. "Good night, Emily," he said softly. "Remember the lessons of today. Care, patience, and love, they will guide you through anything." "Good night, Dad," Emily whispered, her eyes closing. "I love you." Her father kissed her forehead gently. "I love you too, always." Lying in bed, Emily reflected on her journey over the past few days. She had learned so much not just about life on the farm, but about life itself. She understood that love was shown in small, consistent actions, in dedication, and in patience. She realized that challenges, like the storm-damaged fence, weren't obstacles, but opportunities to learn, grow, and strengthen bonds with those she cared about. The sound of the wind rustling through the trees, the distant calls of night birds, and the soft breathing of her father downstairs filled her with comfort. Emily felt safe, loved, and inspired. She understood that life's beauty wasn't always in grand events, but in the quiet, steady rhythms of daily life, the kind of life she shared with her father. The next morning, Emily woke with a renewed sense of purpose. She dressed quickly and went outside to the treehouse. The sun was rising, casting golden light across the farm. Emily climbed the steps, sat on the platform, and looked out over the fields. She felt proud of what they had built together. Not just the treehouse, but the memories and lessons that would stay with her forever. Her father joined her, carrying a small basket of breakfast. "Thought we could enjoy this up here today," he said, smiling. Emily beamed. "That sounds perfect, Dad." They sat together, eating and talking as the sun climbed higher. Emily realized that these simple moments, working side by side, sharing stories, enjoying the beauty of nature, were the moments she would always remember. She felt grateful for her father, for the lessons he had taught her, and for the quiet, loving life they shared on the farm. As the day continued, Emily helped her father with the morning chores, tending to the animals, watering the garden, and checking the fences. She felt more confident and capable than ever before, knowing that she could handle challenges with patience and care. Her father watched her closely, proud of how much she had grown in just a few days. By evening, they had finished all the tasks, and Emily felt a sense of accomplishment. They sat on the porch once more, sipping tea and watching the sun set over the fields. Emily rested her head on her father's shoulder, feeling the warmth and comfort of home. "Dad," she whispered, "thank you for teaching me all this. I feel like I understand so much more now." 10. And her father smiled, kissing her forehead gently. "I'm proud of you, Emily. You've learned well, and more importantly, you've grown into someone kind, patient, and strong. That's the most important lesson of all." As night fell, Emily went to bed with a heart full of gratitude and love. She knew that life would always have its challenges, but she also knew that with patience, care, and the support of her family, she could face anything. The farm, her father, and the lessons she had learned over the past few days had given her confidence, wisdom, and a deep sense of belonging. And as she drifted off to sleep, the sounds of the quiet farm, the soft rustle of leaves, the distant hooves, and the gentle night breeze sang her into dreams filled with hope, happiness, and the promise of many more days of love, learning, and togetherness. In the coming days, Emily would continue to grow, working alongside her father, facing small challenges, and discovering new joys in their simple, beautiful life. But she would never forget the lessons of these few days. That love is shown through action, patience is powerful, and family is the strongest support one could ever have. And in every routine, every chore, and every quiet moment together, Emily would remember the most important truth of all: that life is not about grand gestures, but about small, consistent acts of care, kindness, and love, just like her father had shown her, night after night, day after day.